we eat not because we are hungry, but we eat by timetable, breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch, and we don't eat when we are hungry. So knowing this and knowing the impact of this, coming from a family which is having type 2 diabetes as a history.
I think we've seen people being more enthusiastic about solving problems than coming more with the problems because they've been given the autonomy to actually talk with people, make the decisions, come and discuss that with the organization because all of that eventually helps us build the goal that we have for the end of the year.
I am Dr. Rahul and I am the CEO of a company, Akar Medical Technologies Limited. And it's a company that is working towards making Indians look beautiful, stay young, and look confident. So we are into medical aesthetics. I've been working in this organization for 9 years now, and prior to this, I have experience in Piramal Healthcare, Galderma, and Pfizer, where I have majorly catered to segments in pharmaceutical industry like diabetes, cardiology, and dermatology, and now majorly into medical aesthetics. Over to you, Niti. How about you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Neeti. Super excited to be on this podcast. And when I heard about the podcast, I think one of the things that was a great validation is that there are people talking about wellness today. Because for us here at Technogize, wellness is something which is very close to our hearts. We don't think that wellness is just another initiative. It is something which is very, very ingrained in the culture. We look at it very holistically. We ensure that our people are taken care of. Speaking about my experience, I have been in the people side for about 13 years, traditionally called the HR teams. And I have had the opportunity to set up the HR teams for multiple startups, and it's been a great journey so far. So, yeah.
It is always nice to meet people who are in a close connection with the people itself, and they work towards overall general well-being and the work culture of any organization, and it's a great experience always. Also, it's a difficult job to keep everyone happy.
Oh,
So,
yes.
being a CEO of an organization and working closely with the human resource team, I understand that it's not an easy job.
Absolutely. So I know that we come from starkly different industries, but in the end, we all work with people. Um, how is it that you, as not just a CEO, because you have to balance both the people as well as the business, and you have a lot on your plate as well, being a doctor. How do you look at wellness for the people that work with you, and also about yourself? Like, how is the work-life balance for you? That
Uh, there are two separate topics actually. Work-life balance is a very difficult topic now in current situations to deal with so many statements of multiple managing directors and CEOs coming out in public and lot of backlash. But I personally believe that if someone love the work that they do, I think they will be very happy to manage their work-life balance in a way. I think developing cordial relationship at office place also helps the work life balance and you are not stressed. Also loving what you do should help. What about you? I mean, you get more complaints or more stress related issues during your day to day work managing people.
Yeah, so I think in organizations where we've been reactive about creating or have not spoken about work life balance, there, yes, we have had conversations on multiple occasions about stress. The opportunity that we have today is, and when you work with organizations where you have the opportunity to create trust with people, create a certain culture of psychological safety, we are more proactive about ensuring that there are measures in place where we talk more about work life alignment. For example, ensuring that people have that kind of space to, let's just say, I have to go out for a 1 hour bank work. Do they have that kind of flexibility to quickly take a break and come back, even on a weekday? Ensuring that people have enough leaves. And one of the other proactive things that we also do is, let's just say, in the last 3, 4 months, we see somebody is not taken a leave. So we nudge them because leave is also the data that is taken care of, is also something that our team looks at. And we've got surprising insights where they say that it's the first time an HR is asking me to go and take a leave, then asking me why are you taking the leave. And I think that in itself, speaks volumes. So I think it is more about being proactive and setting up a certain culture than working backward where we get feedback and be more reactive about things.
I think being reactive as a organization is stemming from the fact that in India, we are used to working too many hours at our office and at our workplace. And I think we should not compare ourselves versus the global work standards, because globally now a lot of things are changing where people are given more flexible and more lenient work hours also to engage with their family. But if you ask from mental stress point of view, I think it's the job fitment. If the job fitment is right, I
Yep.
think the work life balance is decently well, and also hiring right people. Even the
Absolutely.
right boss and a misfit subordinate, or a right subordinate and a misfit boss can create work life imbalance. So there are a lot of factors. Also, I think I also urge my HR to be in connection with the team and understand personal lives of people better over their careers, so that people work with us for a long time, and
Yeah.
we try to manage their personal aspirations and career goals together.
Absolutely. And I think to add to that point where you were talking about how do you manage stress and all of that, a couple of things that have worked for us has also been that giving a lot of clarity in the role. So, of course, it's a given, like you said, hiring the right set of people, having the right mindset, which eventually leads to, retaining the best people that have been with our organization for a while. A couple of things that have worked with us has been giving clarity of role, probably giving a good growth path so people know what are they looking forward to when they're putting in these hours. There's a end goal that they can reach to, so they know that they're working towards an eventual goal. Having some intentional work planning has something that actually been great for us. So like focus pairing sessions or deep work time, which means that this is the time that I block for my own work. I do my head down work.
Uh,
um, for us, one another proactive step to ensure that we have a good pulse of the organization is we've tried to intentionally stay away from surveys that we do. Now, is it scalable after we are a larger organization? That is something that we should definitely, that we keep talking about. But I think one-on-ones with people, doing stay interviews with people, asking intended questions where we ensure that people feel heard. That is something that we look at, and giving people a space to really talk about things. So having open all hands meetings where people get to know all the updates of what the organization is doing, um, what is the current pipeline of work looking like, what is the projected revenue. So transparency is what I'm getting to. I think that also gives people a lot of clarity, which we've generally seen where people feel a lot more secure in the role that they do.
Understanding work life balance and maybe taking it further in terms of overall wellness and well being of an individual. We also try to delve into the fact that if people in my team are having maybe they're hypertensive, or they're having cardiac issues, or their oral weight issues, and as you are aware, India being a diabetes capital and having worked in a chronic segment like cardio diabetes, being aware that okay, there is high risk profiles where people have central obesity, and how that can impact their overall work life and overall health, because work again will increase their stress, and which again is a vicious cycle. So we try to discuss with people who are overweight and how we can work together to ensure that they can work on their body weight and overall well-being in terms of diabetes management, or if they're pre-diabetic. I think one thing that in my previous organization, we used to have health checkups where we used to screen people for diabetes, and That was
Lovely.
a good initiative from the organization because India is a diabetes capital and a hypertensive capital. So
Yeah.
pre-diagnosis well in time will prevent sudden deaths or early deaths of employees and young people, young bright minds. So that is something where I want my organization in future to work, where people have been working with us for more than 5 years, 7 years, 9 years, and we want to build a healthy team that stays with us for a long time and stays healthy.
That's
And
lovely.
yeah, anything specific maybe your organization now currently is working upon?
Yeah, actually, so Dr. R, for us, one of the great things that we look forward to is that we're not just tied up with a partner where we get some insurance cover, but we're actually tied up with a partner where we get a holistic health related service, which means that uh, a person at any point in time, during the day or night wants to get in touch with a doctor at the tip of their fingers, they want to get their blood test done. They want to get a consultation with any specialists. So, for example, I've got something related to an orthological problem. So, do I get an ortho appointment? And all of that today, while we're doing like a 9 to 5 job, would sometimes become inconvenient to really go and seek those. Another thing that we do is every quarter, we ensure we're doing something related to health. Uh, so there are either awareness sessions, there are these routine blood checkups that we do. Another thing is we use our eyesight a lot more for screen time because all of us are using a lot of screens today. So ensuring there are these eye checkups that are happening, and people, if you've not done a recent check, and ensuring that you get that opportunity to do that. So we also try to make it a little fun. So there are these walkathons. So there are teams that compete with each other, and at the end of the month long walkathon, you should see the number of steps that people have done. And there's so much of enthusiasm that people show up over there. Uh, so yeah, that's something that we look at.
I think it's a great amount of work that you're doing. Obviously, ours is a smallish organization. While I was with Caldoma, I think we had more initiatives on those lines. And at Akar now, since we are growing and our size is growing, and our profit and loss statement now somehow allows us to get into doing better things for employees. I think those things will follow up in our current organizations also. Uh,
Absolutely.
One more thing that I personally do in my own personal capacity is I do personal coaching for people who are interested in managing their weight, and if they want to manage their diabetes or hypertension. So, in my personal capacity, I'm also trying now to help a lot of people. Not necessarily that I take fees from them, but even I'm involved in a lot of paid consultation. But for my team, I think most of the times it's completely free, and that I do in completely free capacity. While I'm working with them, mostly my sales team and my office team, I usually guide them that they need to do certain checks and measures for
Yeah.
certain type of disease screening, and yes, these things surely help and also give a heads up. So overall, I think we all are working towards a better future. Uh,
Yeah.
in personal capacity, Nidhi, anything specifically that you think has changed your life for better? If you have done anything specifically in last few years, or maybe you have started recently.
For me, wellness wise, I think one of the things that I should do is I don't take pride in it, okay? I was a workaholic. So for me, my day starts with work, ends with work kind of a person. What has happened after the world changed and, life became a little slower and you got a lot more time at home during COVID. One of the most amazing things was, of course, to spend a lot of time with my daughter. But by the time I used to drop her in the park down, I used to take like a nice walk. I have done a lot of meditation. So I think that because of the work stress that was going on, given that there was a lot going on work wise, I thought that I need to take care of myself far more better. And while we are the custodians of ensuring that wellness at work prevails and people are able to utilize that, what do we do differently about that? And for me, mental well-being journey for myself started that time. Um, I could see a lot of changes in myself as a person, how things changed. Uh, I used to be someone who used to procrastinate a lot because once you have like multiple facets of work coming in, it was, you had to like, I used to really procrastinate. I think healing from that, meditating, having some priorities in place, it really helped me. So anytime any person looks overwhelmed today, I have a much better answer to really help them out. I'm really able to, kind of at least break that problem down, and I'm able to help them. And I think that is one of the greatest things, that I get the opportunity to talk to people, and I'm happy that they come across to share their concerns and, have a quick chat. And all of these things have really, really helped.
Nice to know about that.
Yeah. So, Dr. Raul, I actually had a question for you. Going back to your previous point, we're talking about how individually you're able to also help out some concerns that you proactively realize, and then you go and have a chat with your team members. Um, Given that the setting that we are in today, I think in a lot of organizations which are large, there's generally one size fits all kind of an approach. Do you think that that is relevant? Because I kind of really connect with you there, because today we have the bandwidth to really customize a few things so people really go out there and be in touch. But how would you see wellness?
So, if I tell you, having worked in larger organizations like Piramal and Pfizer and Galderma, with the kind of people initiatives these organizations take, they're decently well. But having learned a lot of things and lot of experiences from these organizations, working at Akar, what I have specially understood is it's always better to work with the people rather than having a straight jacket approach. You
Yeah.
customize the approach to people, more so from point of view from work life balance or health, maybe from the way people want to be and what motivates them and what demotivates them.
Yeah.
Also, there are certain personal aspirational goals. Like you said, a smallish organization helps it, but to a larger extent, I think we need to build the people and leaders who can take it down to your team and personalize it at their levels, because you cannot reach out to the entire team directly. However, when you meet someone across and you are in capacity to guide them, I think I keep my time open for surely guiding my team and being with them. Sometimes even talking to team members openly and being with them and dancing with them at galas and being free gives them that relief that okay, the management is with us. And at larger extent, I think people feel a bit stress free, because otherwise that wall between the management and the team doesn't break, and there is always the stress and there is fear of unknown, and people don't open up. So I think that is something that I have personally tried to break in the current organization, being the CEO. And even the smallest person in my team at the lowest level is open and does come up to me and discusses whatever he wants to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think to add to that, one thing that has really helped us break that is giving people more autonomy. So what we did differently was also, and because we had the time and space to do that, when we started the organization and we started writing these policy documents or guideline documents that we used to have, we limited policies only to compliances that are actually defined by the government, which some examples are like the maternity and the POSH, etc. The other things, we call it the guideline, so that it is not a hard drawn line, which is, it's just the right thing to do. That also aligns with the values and purpose statement that we have. So doing the right thing when nobody's watching and encouraging integrity basically. And when we used to have these open discussions about, how does our uh, leave bucket look like, and uh, basically at one point in time. Today, I think it became the need of the business to really have roles defined, like, who will be a consultant or a tutor or a principal consultant and so on and so forth. At one point in time, all of us had, and if you look at my designation as well, we've got like very plain designations, which actually talk about the role and impact that you will create. And I think that has been amazing. Another thing that really breaks uh, that gap that people may feel, right? Like, okay, this might be a senior person or works as a director here. How do I approach them? When any person joins newly, one, of course, we mentioned that there is no hierarchy. But now, how does that look into practice? They actually get a chance to meet everyone, have candid discussions. Um, we have this chai pe charcha kind of a time. And another thing that we also do is stepathon, which becomes our health related theme within that. So then there's a social cause that you do. So as for your team, whatever cause do you want to contribute to, you can actually go ahead and do that. And couple of more things, some techno quiz and all of that. And people become so competitive, and it gives a chance for people to really cross collaborate, irrespective of the team role level, whatever. When you joined, sometimes tenured people and the new people, they also may not end up talking a lot. So that barrier is broken. I think it's been fun. We've completed a whole year successfully. We had like award ceremonies with medals and everything, and people loved it. This is our second year doing it, and we have like so much of participation, and that sportsmanship comes up that hum jeetenge, and we'll do this, and we are going to win, and this it becomes a lot of fun. I think that has also helped us really bridge that gap of for people to get an opportunity to get to know everyone, or like you were saying, right, or the levels, etc. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I think there are few things that I've learned from what you have been doing at your organization, and I would surely like to take few insights and have a word with my HR and implement those also at our organization. I think in the near
big
future,
percent.
and over beyond mere work wellness or beyond general or personal wellness, I think mental health does play an important role, and today it's one of the most critical factors in our life,
Yeah.
and that's the most ignored one also. Understanding that, I think what you guys are doing at your end are really fantastic initiatives, and we will surely maybe take up few initiatives from your side and implement at our organization. I think that would be a great start again for us, while it's a growing phase and we are starting to become a bigger size organization. Uh,
Absolutely.
uh, I was also looking up to a fact that most times when people at senior level, especially people at say where the reporting structure is of 15, 20, 30 people, anything specific that you do at these levels to manage general well-being in terms, because the stress at a lower level employee and a hierarchically higher level employee is very different. Anything specific you have for top level managers or managers under uh, a lot of stress, I think.
What we definitely do is we got something which is called the technovision, or our yearly goal that we have to achieve. And through that, what we do is we ensure that we ingrain them more into how Technogize is building year on year, which means that when you're tying them to the growth of the organization and tying them to the larger purpose of eventually when you're going to do all of these things, how do we really step in and make a difference in the organization? I think we've seen people being more enthusiastic about solving problems than coming more with the problems, because they've been given the autonomy to actually talk with people, make the decisions, come and discuss that with the organization, because all of that eventually helps us build the goal that we have for the end of the year. So that has definitely helped. Within the leadership team as well, another different thing that they do is uh, there are 7 or 8 of them, and they meet and then they do these open, transparent feedbacks. So what they're doing is they're building that psychological safety between and creating that openness where it is very easier to come, talk, and have candid conversations. however good or however bad. The only target of having those feedback discussions is that the outcome has to be that you're giving a growth focused feedback. So let's just say you and I are talking, we both are giving us feedbacks to each other. I can't just come and say that, okay, these are, you've got a very good smile and you've got a very good personality. Instead, I have to really talk about the work that, the impact that you're making while you talk to your team members has been this, and please keep it going. And it's been inspirational for me. But there are some things that I really look forward to, like you've got this flair for giving consultations to people. So how can you take it to the larger team? So that is an example of how you can grow. We try and give feedbacks which are example based, and we look at situation, behavior, and impact and keep the person outside. A lot of times feedbacks can be tricky. They end up being taken more personally as a reflection on our own self. And this model of what is the situation, what was the behavior showcased, and what was the impact helps in both of the things, good feedback and critical feedback. And then that has created that safety net.
What we also are trying to do is having real time feedbacks rather than feedback. One of my bosses used to say feed forward, and we look forward to working towards how we can do things better rather than keeping a review and keep talking about what things are not done. Rather than that, we try to discuss with our team what can be done better,
Yeah.
and instead of pestering upon things that have not been done, we try to see how things could work out for future. We also try to have done, because being a leader and in leadership roles, people are most times at alone. I think
Yeah.
they share major chunk of responsibilities. So also key level managers or key senior management people, we try to engage with them and understand if things are okay and things are going well for them also, because then their mental well-being and their overall health
Yeah.
helps us understand that they take care of their teams better, and they should also feel comfortable in their roles. Because like you are aware, people leave bosses is a most common norm that is spread on social media, and we don't want people unhappy at senior level, and that unhappiness translates into people getting disengaged at lower levels. So we surely try to engage with managers and key management personals and keep them engaged also equally, because at times people forget the key role people, understanding that maybe they don't require anything and they can take care of themselves, and most of the times activities are connecting people down the line. And uh, understanding this is very important, that these are the people who directly are connected to teams, and they can manage the team better if they are in a healthier position. So I
Okay.
think that is one facet where I'm trying to focus personally also, to make my senior management team more mentally sound and more stable. We also try to give them comfort and job security, where we groom them, we try to train them, and we try to push them to achieve things that are beyond their current thought process,
Yeah.
and we and instill that confidence. So maybe that is also helping in having better work life balance. I'm happy to actually share that most of my team members are working with me more than 7 to 8 years or 9 years or 10 years working with us, and working in different capacities. They have grown territories and regions, and they have built teams below them, and they're happy and they still want to continue with us. And that's a good state that we have the organization at current level. Uh, there is one more thing that I am personally trying to do, being from cardio diabetes background, and this is slightly beyond mental well-being. I try to keep telling my team that they should quit sugar and carbohydrates, and that is one thing. It's nothing to do with body shaming anyone. I think as a country, we need to understand that we are diabetes capital for a reason. If you go in science, people talk about a lot of hypotheses. One of the most common hypotheses is that being a famine driven country, we never used to have enough, and our body
Yeah.
used to store for days where we will not have enough food. And today we are in surplus, and we eat not because we are hungry, but we eat by timetable: breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch. and we don't
Yeah.
eat when we are hungry. So knowing this and knowing the impact of this, coming from a family which is having type 2 diabetes as a history, I try to control myself and I try to reduce my carbohydrate intake and have a high fiber and high protein intake. I try to instill that with my colleagues on daily basis.
That's
Uh,
lovely.
it might work, it might not work, but I'm not bothered as long as I have good faith and good intentions. So I think that is something that going ahead in a larger organization, if we can work on instilling that kind of education to people for better healthy lifestyle, and also engage families and maybe wives and mothers of people so that they understand the implication, will go a long way to build a better country and a better workforce.
100%. That is one thing that I'm gonna take away. Not just as, a person working in a certain field. I think for a human being, that is
Yes,
one
I
thing
think
that
that
would,
is important. Yeah.
yeah, something that I'll keep for my life, that takeaway.
Yeah, because it's very simple. And yeah, during my weight loss coaching or diabetes management, we do talk about a lot what I eat. I eat normal diet. I eat normal diet, but people don't understand what is normal is actually what has been followed for ages, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it is normal. It's made normal because it is followed by most people, and that becomes a norm. And I think people need to change with time and understand what their body is and how different they think, because people who became obese and morbidly obese over period also have issues with relation to their work,
Yep.
and in relation to their health, and then they get critically disengaged from work, and there is certain amount of depression that sets in. So it's all related and linked, and it is known.
Yep.
Maybe a kind of diet, like a keto diet or a low carb diet, and people are mentally much better off when brain feeds on fat and brain feeds on ketones, and their serotonin levels and their dopamine levels are at a different way interacting with the brain, and they are more healthy, they are more alert, they are more conscious.
Yeah.
And I think that also helps in overall well-being at workplace. A simple change in diet can change a lot of things. Even maybe lunch during lunch hours, where offices provide lunch to their employees, if they start providing low carb, high fiber diet, high protein diet to their teams, I think you can see an overall improvement in the sedation that they have post meal. They feel sleepy. Instead
Yes.
of providing nappy beds and napping beds, where culture is coming that okay, a nap during working hours is good for health. Maybe we provide them with food that will not make them feel like having a nap during working hours, and they are alert
100%.
throughout the day. That's a simple change. Maybe it could impact a larger number of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is also one thing that I will take away, one suggestion. That so what we do is every quarter a lot of us are working in a mix of remote and so coming into office, which is basically like a, we call it a dynamic hybrid. For me, it's always a fight to decide what do we keep for lunch and how can we have like really less oily food. What will people prefer, because we've got people all over India, and because those 2 days when we have lunch here out of the whole week, at least they get more time to collaborate in person. And then lunch table conversations are very different. They get to meet different people, talk to newer people apart from their team. And I think that is a great suggestion, Dr. Rao. That is something that I'm going to look at the next time that, we're going to.
Maybe you could think of keeping a lecture on dietary macros and how people should eat
Absolutely.
uh, during their lifetime, and how they can improve their lifestyle. Like you said, oily food. In one of my diet regimens where we work on weight loss, so we are giving 70%, 80% fat. That's the keto diet, and
Yeah.
and and against the norm where people feel that eating too much of fat is unhealthy.
Yeah.
I think eating fat with carbohydrates is unhealthy, because ultimately everything boils down to what is your insulin level and how your body is insulin resistant or not. And it's a complex thing, I understand, but the simple solution is when you're eating too much of carb, maybe avoid oil, and when you're eating too much of oil, avoid carbs, because your body tends to produce insulin in presence of carbohydrate and it stores the entire fat, and
And
that's how your arteries get blocked. And maybe you can have a lecture on macros and diet just before the session, and then people can choose, and you can take a feedback that what food was consumed and what was not consumed post that lecture as a immediate feedback of
yeah,
change in, maybe some kind of change in lifestyle.
absolutely. I think that's a great suggestion. It will be more like an experiment that we can do.
Yeah, it works most times.
Yeah, yeah.
I can tell you one more thing. Like usually, I do my consultations in a coffee shop, and
Yeah.
whenever my client comes, these are all referred clients only. I don't take any new clients like
Mhm.
that. So I usually feed them with black coffee without sugar, and I make them drink that same coffee, because then I tell them that why it is important to consume coffee without sugar every single time, or having tea every single time with sugar is like those chai ka tapris with cigarette are the most deleterious thing to people today, because
Yeah.
they sip on sugar and they sip on smoke, and the nicotine is high and the sugar level is high, and most people are hypertensive, and
Wow.
that triggers the entire cycle of hypertension and diabetes. So two
Absolutely.
factors together. Maybe that is something that really all organizations need to look at. What are we
Absolutely.
feeding our people, if we are feeding? Otherwise, people carry their doubles.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that is a great takeaway for me to have those
Yeah,
sessions and probably have the session just before lunch.
it is always better, because even one person's life we change. I think it is good. I believe that.
Okay. Lovely. Any final questions that we could take? I was thinking of one thing which could be fun to end the podcast on a very, very high note. If you had to put a tagline for wellness, what would your tagline for wellness look like?
Uh, Wellness is simple.
Yeah. I think, yeah, simple but so powerful.
Yeah, it is very simple actually.
Lovely. I think if I were to talk about that tagline, for me, it would be that we're talking about wellness, and it's what I've realized is it's not a luxury, it is just the foundation in everything that we do. And I think that I will keep with myself for, uh, you know, the time going forward for sure.
Maybe we can club both and we can say wellness, a simple foundation.
Yes. That's the best collaborative answer we come up with. Love it. Right. Thank you so
Nice,
much.
Nidhi. It was great having this discussion with you, and I think we both could get some pointers that we could take back and implement at our own organizations.
I'm really thrilled too. And I think I need to connect with you as well as a patient now.
So again, in aesthetics, we don't call patient; we
Yeah.
say they're clients, because lifestyle is not uh, a patient-like disease. It is something that can be reversed. So we don't
That's
believe that diabetes is a disease; it's a lifestyle modification. That's the only thing. You don't need treatment. You can reverse diabetes. So something like that.
lovely. That's a lovely thought. Yeah. Client very then. Thank you so much. It was lovely, lovely having the conversation.
Same here.